Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Pull Box Pals podcast. I am Monk, the monkiest man on the internet, and with me is my I don't know, don't look at me. Don't look at me like that was supposed to make sense. You rascal, you.
It should have. And I'm Mad Mark over here. That's who I am. I'm the maddest man on the internet.
See, that's why I went with it, so we could do
Oh,
that.
okay.
But
Yeah,
you're not the maddest man. Who's the
I'm not.
maddest man on the internet? I don't
He's
want to say.
probably somewhere on YouTube, and
He's
I
100%
probably don't watch his videos. So,
same. Oh man, but how you been, buddy?
pretty good.
I heard you just cracked open a cold one with your pal.
I sure did. It's from New Spring Brewing. It's their Marionberry Sour. I don't drink sours a whole lot, but here
Wow.
we go.
I actually am a big fan of sours.
It's not that I don't like sours. I more drink them in the summer.
Mm.
And it's February and it's super cold here right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It is currently 63 degrees and the sun is down. It was a hot one today.
Okay, so this is laughable.
All right, I got
given where I'm from, Oregon, I learned something. It was a glass shattering moment. Well, my wife learned something and then shared it with me. So anyways, school is canceled, or not canceled, but like my kids had a 2-hour delayed start on I believe yesterday. So yeah, Valentine's Day. They had a 2-hour delayed start.
Oh, that's sweet.
And it was all because of about a finger of snow on the ground, like a finger width of snow on the ground. And then like another thing is I really struggle driving with other people in Oregon because Oregon drivers just aren't the best. And this also comes from growing up in Idaho and having to deal with a lot of Oregon drivers. But I found out driver's ed's not required in Oregon.
Oh, really?
And it's just like, that's the glass shattering moment. It's just like, okay, that makes sense. Like why people get confused at like an always stop and who goes first. Like,
wow. Yeah. But if you wouldn't have said that, I would have completely forgot that I had ever even taken that class. But then when you said it, it all came rushing back to me. And my favorite thing about that class was that the lady who hosted it was like in love with the 50s. So like her room was like decorated like a diner. It had a bunch of like people from the 50s, whoever, like fill in the blank. My cat's knocking. Can you hear my cat knocking?
Meow. Yeah, mine was my driver's ed instructor was one of my really good friend's dads.
Oh.
And so, but like, and he was super cool, and like I love taking the class from him, but like, and he taught me some like everything I know about driving, obviously, because I took driver's ed, but like it was cool to have him do it because he was also like our baseball coach growing up and our basketball coach, and he was a great guy. So shout out to him. I won't reveal his name.
Yeah, let's not dox this poor man on the internet.
Shout out to my buddy's dad.
Shout out to Mads,
who taught me driver's ed and coached my baseball and basketball teams.
Wow, it's great to have good father figures. But speaking of father figures, comic books.
There's a lot of father figures represented in comic books.
Who's your favorite father figure in comics?
No, it's a really easy answer. Really easy answer.
Oh, is it going to be the same one as me? Let's say it on the count of three. You ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Uncle
Wolverine.
Ben.
Oh. In case that didn't come through, you said Uncle Ben and I said Wolverine.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I would toss it up though with Jonathan Kent. There you go. Arnold Palmer.
You're looking at like actual like good father, which is probably wise because you are.
Well, that's when we talked father figure, I kind of figured we should talk like we're going in the direction. Well, like Wolverine is a dad technically.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let me push back and say, there's my cat purring. If you can hear that.
Are you saying that you wish that Wolverine was your dad and you always looked up to him?
But here was the original question: was who's the best father in comics or father figure in comics? And I think Uncle Ben and John, like those Uncle Clark, whatever his name is, Uncle whatever Superman's dad,
Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Not Uncle Clark, but Yeah, I think and Wolverine just has more like stuff going on. Like he has like his son hates him. His
Yeah.
daughter like wants to be him, but she doesn't. He doesn't want her to. I mean, I guess he does because she just is. Like like there's a little bit more of like complexity to the actual like character of like whatever
Yeah.
is to the father aspect of Wolverine. But
Okay.
again, you are correct in thinking of being a good role model is a good thing, and Wolverine is a good role model depending on like who's writing and like what
Depending on the issue.
yeah, like if he's in a gray suit with X-Force, he's the worst type of guy.
Yeah.
But no, if he's just chilling at the X Mansion, he's probably it's weird for me when I see Wolverine drinking comics because I'm like, you don't get drunk. He just likes the taste of beer, I
Yeah.
guess, or does he get drunk? I don't think he
I
does.
think it takes a lot.
Mm.
Like he could probably drink everybody under the table.
Oh, can't we all?
Can't we
Um,
all?
but
No, I can't. I not anymore. In
no,
my
that's good.
20s, yeah, probably, but no, not today.
That's good. I like
Yeah.
being like a cheap drink because I'm like, why? I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of money on this bad liquid that's just slowly poisoning me. But it's
Oh
not
my gosh.
slowly poisoning me. Mark's just getting a lot of war flashbacks.
No, it's just speaking of the buddy whose dad taught me driver's ed, my buddy when we were I don't know, I don't want to say how old we were, but we weren't old enough obviously, and we were at this bonfire and he had like a fifth of Jack Daniels and
Mhm.
like pretty much drank the whole thing and or he didn't drink the whole thing. That like because
He drank
we
a
were laughing at
significant
him
amount.
because he was a lightweight. He probably had like 5 pulls off of it, we'll say.
Okay,
And he just like, I love being a lightweight. It's cheaper. Like that's all he said in his response to us was, I
I
love being a
agree.
lightweight. It's cheaper. And it's true. It's
Yeah,
cheaper. But
there you go.
anyways, we're not condoning anybody go out there and drink.
Yeah, yeah. As you sip on a beer, stay home and drink with your comics,
Well, I
gin
don't.
and comics.
I mean, like drink.
Yeah,
Like
be safe, be
shots.
responsible.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get off of
We're
this.
not here to talk about drinking. We're here to talk about Jonathan Kent. And
Okay.
the good examples he gave us as a father.
Sometimes you got to die to set an example.
Exactly. Legends, they live on.
Yeah, but they do die. Sometimes legends die. Anyways, man, did you make it to your comic shop this week?
I sure did. I got there and I had a surprise in my pull box I was pretty excited about because we've discussed before, sometimes when you're like expecting a Scout comic to come out on time, it doesn't. And I finally got issue 2 of a comic. The issue 1 came out in like August or September.
Okay.
And then I've watched it like keep pushing and pushing away from like its original release date. And I think even if I look on our secret source of where we source the
Our
information
secrets.
about when comics come out, um, uh, I think it still has a release date for like next week, but I got it today, and I'm really excited because I really enjoyed issue 1. But it's Eternus number
Oh,
2.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
love
it's
that
that one
cover.
that
Show me that
yeah.
cover again. Lift it up. Sorry, just audio listeners. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
very He-Man and like I don't know. What's the
Yeah. He's
tiger
got like
one?
what? Oh,
The
I don't
Thundercats.
thunder cats. Sorry, if whenever Thundercats is mentioned, somebody has to sing.
Yeah, I
Sing
mean
it. So
that's by state law in Oregon. You don't have to learn how to drive.
it's not required. But anyways, yeah. So Eternus is that one where like the concept of the story came from Andy Serkis,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Levitas. I can't. His first name is Andrew Levitas. So yeah, they got a writer and artist and everybody to put this together for them, and it's actually put out by Scout Comics and Thunder Comics. I don't know more about the details of their partnership on this, but it's cool to. I always like when there's like two publishers putting something out together because I'm a big fan of collaborating.
Yeah.
And
Can't
then
say that
next up,
much.
yeah, this is a very image week for me. I got a lot of image. So I saw this on the key pull list, so I grabbed it, and my shop only had one, but it's The Last Barbarians. I don't. It's written by
I did
Brian
see that.
Haberlin. Yeah.
That
I
name
don't know.
sounds
I
familiar.
don't really know much about it other than they're the last barbarians, whatever that means, because it seems like barbarians are still around us. I see them often.
That's
And
what
then
I'm saying.
I also got Dead Lucky. This is
Nice.
issue 6. I got from Vault under their Nightfall brand, Door to Door, Night by Night.
Pause real quick.
Yeah.
I
What's
have
that?
issue number 1 of that and never read it. Is it good? I don't think we've ever. I mean, have we talked about it?
Are we talking Dead Lucky or Door to Door, Night by Night?
Night did that the north.
The door. Hodor. Um, yeah, it's really slow paced, and I could see it being like a TV show that would work out somewhat well. Because essentially what it is like the first person you're introduced to is a lady who's apparently had a life, and it come to find out that she like finds like demons and monsters in the world again that only children can see, and there's a few stories like this going on right now, but
Interesting.
this is told from the perspective of essentially a group of people who just learned that these things exist and now they can see them too, and they're not door-to-door salesmen. Their job is to go like small town to small town supporting their local fire department and like offering pictures, like you can get a family portrait for this much and every cent that you pay goes to support the local fire department. Like that's kind of their stitch.
Yeah.
But now they're like figuring out like, oh wow, every time we come to one of these towns, there's actually a monster here, and we got to do something about it because monsters kill people.
Yeah, that's no
Um,
good.
so it's something I've stuck with, but I will say it hasn't like necessarily been like high on my priority list of like I feel like I need to talk about this one a lot. I'm kind of waiting for the whole arc to finish before I have my peace of mind with it.
Sure.
And then, as I know you got, and all of our pals got, 8 Billion Genies #7.
Oh, you want to hear some sad news, Mark?
Oh no.
Oh no is
What's the
correct.
sad news?
So your Pull Box Pal monk here rolled into his comic book shop and walked over to the shelf, and no 8 billion genies there for me.
Oh
I
no.
I went up and I asked my comic book guy, and I was like, 8 billion genies is supposed to come out this week? Question mark. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, oh no. And like he knows, and I forget what happened, but he didn't have any copies. So he had to order me one. So
Dang.
there's almost 100% chance I'm just gonna buy it digitally and read it, because there's no way we're not gonna be talking about it next week.
Yeah.
It's
No,
yeah. So
it's too good to not read it.
right away. And like even just like
Yeah.
I would like, it's just more money hopefully going back to this creative team. And like obviously this comic is like wildly successful, so it's not like my extra $3.99 is gonna help. But it's
Yeah.
it's the gesture that matters.
Yeah. You're being kind with your money to the people you support.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also it came out this week. I'm wondering if you picked it up as well. The new Nightclub
I
number
did.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you skipped it. Oh no, wait, this is Image as well. I lied. Which
Yeah.
cover did you get?
Not that one. Mine has color. Is yours black and white?
Yeah, I saw the colored
Yeah.
one and I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, this is just what they had in my box for me. And then I got there like when they were actually putting all the comics on the shelf. So I gotta like look through them as they
Oh, that's fun.
stack them on the shelf. And this is all they had was mine, and maybe somebody else ordered it as well. And lastly, I got What's Furthest Place from Here?
Same.
Number 11.
Yeah. How many? I just one more issue left in this arc after this one, I would imagine.
I believe so. I think it ends with 12. but don't quote us on that.
Right. So yeah. But yeah, I would imagine it's probably something like that. Those are some good pulls. You don't
It's a
have
good
anything
pull.
else? You don't have like any Marvel or anything.
Well, I did. I did get one Marvel. I got Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and oh, and then I also had I had a couple things I was waiting on. I had an issue 2 in my box, but I never got the issue 1.
Mm,
I'll show it
sure,
because
go ahead.
I'm excited to read it because I've been waiting for a long time. But yeah, here's issue 1 of Red Winter Fallout.
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah,
that
and
looks
then
beautiful. And that's from Scout, right?
yeah, and here's issue 2.
That looks great too.
Yeah, so I'm
Whoa.
excited to get in that one just because I was really excited the week it was supposed to come out, and when it wasn't in my box the week it came out, I was like, oh, it's just Scout.
Yeah.
And then my issue
Just
2
Scout
came.
being Scout.
Yeah, but then my issue 2 came out on time, so I was like, hey, comic shop, I never got issue 1. They're like, oh, we'll take care of that, and that was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that was pretty quick response time, honestly.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
but that's not, I don't want to wait that long for 8 billion genies,
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
granted, that's Image versus Scout, but still, I ain't waiting that
Yeah.
long. But yeah, man. So besides 8 billion genies, I wanted to get the Wasp #2, and I just forgot it. I so rarely go over to the Marvel and DC side of my comic shop, which is a bad habit, but I usually come there after work, don't have a whole lot of time, I'm making excuses. But yeah, I love that character, I love that series, so it was just a mistake, didn't get it. But trying to think if there was anything else. I feel like there is, but no, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
But I also picked up White Savior #2. Pretty
Right
excited
on.
about this. That's a fun little story. I talked about that in a couple episodes back. So as well with Mosley #1. This is #2. So if you're interested in that story, really like this cover.
Yeah.
I'm all
And
about.
I know our pals over at the Comic Book Lair are pretty excited about Mosley as well.
Shout out to the boys.
So I'm waiting for the trade on that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to read it when it comes out.
Yeah, it sounds like you're excited. Wow. All right. Well, are we ready to ride a horse into town? I don't know what that
Yeah.
means. I should have said.
I do want to put one more thing out there. There's one issue of Marvel that I wanted to get and I passed on it, and I kind of regret it now
Hmm.
in the latter part of leaving the shop. But Murder World Moon Knight.
Mm.
I still really do like Moon Knight, but I'm also just so tired of like reading Marvel comics.
And I don't know. I don't want to be mean towards Marvel or like put them down. It's just not we're the stuff that we're looking for is I don't think is what they're currently selling.
Yeah.
And when they maybe one day we'll hear tale. I have nothing against going back to Marvel. It's just the things that I'm looking for, they're not selling.
Yeah. And
So
other than Star Wars for me, like there's not a whole lot of Marvel, and even Star Wars at this moment, I've taken a step back from it. I'm not. I mean, I
oh,
said I got Star Wars Bounty Hunters, but I think this is the last issue that I'm subscribed to Pull,
mhm.
and then I'm just gonna start reading them digitally when they start releasing on like the app. So
Yeah. All right. Well, hey man, you want to get into Bulls of Beacon Hill?
let's do it. Bowls
Let's
of
do.
Beacon Hill. I got that right behind me here. I'll shift my head.
Pretty sure we got the same cover. Yep,
Yeah.
got mine right here.
Yeah.
She's a pretty one. I really like. I
So
mean, yeah, I
I'm curious,
really enjoy that.
why did you grab this?
Uh, I think maybe because I saw that you got this. No,
No,
that might not be it. I think.
that's not it, because I didn't get it when it came out. I ordered
Mm,
mine.
I think I got it when it came out. Yeah, so I honestly just got it because it was Aftershock. I think that was like I'm like Aftershock puts out good stories. I'm not really feeling like something that looks like this, but or like uh, I I do like heavy stories, but I feel like I need to
Yeah.
be really drawn to them. I
Yeah.
don't really like to take chances with heavy stories because then I kind of just dip out in the middle, and if it's not very enticing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but that was not the case with this book. I picked it up and I found it was very like just rolled very well, and I really enjoyed the story and the setup. But why did you pick it up?
So I went to the shop, and this is one I didn't ask to pull. So I just went to see if they had any on the shelf, and they didn't. And the only reason I looked for it is because it was on that comics key list,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
like projected keys. But then you had gotten it, Ross had gotten it, and somebody else had gotten it that I follow as well. And I was like, maybe I should have gotten it. So I ordered it like right away. And yeah, it came in the mail a few weeks ago, or
Yeah.
not a few weeks ago. Like I think maybe actually like last week or possibly the week before. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I like the premise, which is essentially it's father against son is what's
Mm-hmm.
being set up. And issue one kind of just more rolls you in slowly through like the current events and the backstory to like what's his name, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Christopher Page, and then
Yep.
he when he's an adult, he's Christopher Bolts.
Okay.
I don't really, and then he changed his name because the interesting factor of it is that Chris is like running for office.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what office, but he's also I guess the as the comic says, he's queer,
Mm-hmm.
and but his dad is like the leader of the mob.
Yeah, like the Irish mob or the some
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, in Boston, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I go just real quick. I want to go back to how you were talking about how this issue played out. I thought that this did a. I really enjoy comics that go like this, where there's a good introduction to the world and the
mhm,
premise and the characters, and then at the end of issue one, you're hit on that last page with like, full page or whatever, and then just left on a cliffhanger.
yeah,
I really love stuff like that. And this book I feel like did a fantastic job. I feel
yeah.
like yeah,
And we've
it
talked
rolled really
before, but
well.
like that's also just how like an issue one should be. Like you should be first off like building the world and introducing like the characters that are playing in this world. And this issue does achieve that. And like you follow the main which is or the featured character, which is Chris. You have your supporting character of his mom. She's kind of like a background, like she's in the beginning pages and then she ends up in the later pages when she's older, but she's always just been the kind of like that encouraging mom who's always been there for her son, but also understands he lives his own life.
Mhm.
And you can also kind of, this is the thing I really appreciated about her character, because again she is just more of like a supporting character as I can tell. And she really laid like the groundwork of like what Chris's growing up was like. And you got
Mm.
an image of that in the beginning because he's tossing ball back and forth with uh somebody that I assume is either his dad or stepdad. I didn't see the relation between like this guy and the one they showed later to be his actual dad.
No, so that wasn't his dad. That was
Okay.
like a butler raising him, and then so later in the, this isn't really a spoiler, but, later in the episode, the dad is, like, beating someone up by throwing putting, baseballs into one of those, like, automatic
Oh
pitching
yeah, yeah,
machines.
yeah.
That's the guy. So
Oh.
he's doing that to, like, as punishment for how his son turned out.
Yeah.
Um,
That see, I did not catch that, and that like
yeah,
brings so
that's
much
it.
more life to the story.
It took me a couple. I sat with it for a second because I'm like, "Who is this guy?" Because they wouldn't just show him for no reason. Like, I didn't feel like it was just some random dude that he was hurting. So
Yeah.
I kinda just it wasn't too clear, maybe because they didn't give the guy a name from what I think they might have, but
No,
I don't.
because he answers the phone when he's playing catch with Chris as a kid,
Mhm.
and he answers the phone and says like, "This is Kala" or something like that, like
Yeah.
Calla, I
Yeah,
think is what it
something like
was.
that. I'm sure I could just look it up.
I don't want to pull mine off the shelf
No, that's
because
fine, I got it.
whenever I pull comics off the shelf, they all come down.
Yeah, well. Yeah, so this is Kappa, something wrong, and then the next one it says, "I'm just playing catch with your son."
Oh. Yeah,
So
see, little details that I didn't catch is that he said your son, And then when he was introduced again later and being hit by the balls out of the pitching machine, I just kind of brushed it off as like, yeah, mob boss would be doing this to somebody he's mad with,
Like,
like
just for
I didn't.
funsies.
So I didn't catch that. So that's awesome. But that's also like why we're here.
Yeah,
Did you
man,
catch
that's
that?
we're
Yeah.
collaborating. We're talking about it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's in a relationship with another man. He's working up the. I'm talking about Chris.
Yeah.
He's just working his way up as a legitimate dude, and his dad's not happy about that. So I just imagine, and yeah, we're just going to see a lot of clashing between those two worlds. And I love mob stuff, so and
Yeah.
I'm all in because it has like, yeah, just real kind of modern take on it. And I don't want to spoil it, but this is pretty much how the first issue ends.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's why I'm stoked to see where this goes. It seems like we're just kind of into the action right away.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate about the cover is like that's something we haven't talked about in a while, but like a lot of times covers will tell a part of the story that's within the
Mm-hmm.
issue.
Mm-hmm.
And like it is really cool to like get to the end of the issue and be like, okay, so like that's why this is on the cover. Like this
Right.
scene of a cop and if people probably don't know, but it's Chris because he's kind of more silhouetted in the
Yeah, they both kind of are. I mean, you can
but
tell it's
it's
a cop, but yeah,
yeah,
it's it's very good very good comic stuff. You know,
yeah.
it's very good. The
It's
stuff
good
of
setup.
comics. Yeah,
It's the stuff comics are made of.
aren't we all?
um but yeah, no, like so I enjoyed it. And then just to kind of I'll give the premise for people that are listening, but it's the team behind the Justice League of America reunites for some hard-hitting revenge. Dr. Christopher Bolt is everything he ever wanted: a successful career as a surgeon, a supportive and loving boyfriend, and an overload of hype on his rumored run for Boston City Council. But there's one problem: it's all held up by a lie. For years, Chris has been hiding in plain sight, desperate not to be connected to his father, Orrin Page, one of Boston's most notorious gangsters. Until now, Chris has been able to live with that secret, and Chris's father has been just as happy to deny any connection to his queer son, who he sees as a liability in the mob world. Now, Chris's political aspirations have put father and son on a collision course bathed in
In
blood.
blood.
In
Sorry.
blood.
In blood. I was gonna say something I completely forgot. You talk now.
Here I go. I'm going to talk now.
Wow. Oh, I guess we didn't really. What I was gonna say is we didn't really talk about the fact that he was like hiding his identity, because I feel like it was just blown over really quick, and so
Yeah.
like it almost instantly was like it was literally like within a couple pages of just being like, people can't know who I am, and then it's like
Mhm.
people are figuring out who you are, and it's like, okay, like it just felt like it was so evident that that thing was going to become out, like even if it wasn't now, it was going to be something that was going to be coming out. So
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is a great series. At least it's a great start to a series. I haven't decided because I don't have it on like my pull list for my shop. I haven't decided if I'm going to ask them to try and bring in issue 2 for me, or if I'm just going to wait for the trade paperback, which
sure.
I'm leaning towards the latter. Because I feel like this is also going to be one of those stories that I'm just going to want to read straight through rather
Yeah.
than wait month to month.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll probably
so
be in a similar boat, I would imagine.
yeah, and you said already that's put out by Aftershock, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did we even say the creators? Steve Orlando and Andy McDonald. So there you
Yeah.
go. That was an
And you
easy
got
read. Thank you for that.
yeah. Yeah, and you got colors by Lorenzo
Oh yeah, I
Scarmella
didn't even see those.
and letters by Carlos M. Manuel.
Well, I gave you the more difficult ones. There you go.
Yeah.
But you knocked it out of the park, buddy.
Yeah. So again, kudos to the whole team. Did a great job on making that comic, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Well
thank
done.
you.
All right, buddy. My good old pal. Hey, pal.
Hey
Hey,
there,
pal.
pal. You
Are
ready to
you
talk? You ready to talk Darkland 2?
Darkland 2? My goodness, I thought you'd never ask.
I know the
So,
tension was building.
It was. All right, since you asked me the first question on the last comic, I'm gonna ask you, what did you think, man? I last time we talked about this, you let me just sit on it the whole time and didn't jump in until the end about how you
Yeah.
felt. So you're starting off this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that last time too is like this is one that I read when it first came out, and then we had our interview with Jonathan, and then it just kind of left my mind. And then when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, right, yeah, like I read that too. Like I completely
Mm,
forgot about it.
mhm.
And I really enjoyed issue two. It wasn't quite the dinger I would hope it would be, but it was at least like a triple, to talk
Okay,
baseball terms.
there you
Um,
go. I don't understand, but there will be a select few people out there who do.
yeah. Well, a trip. Well, I guess even in me just calling it a triple would be two different things. Like you get a triple base hit, or you can get a triple play out. Either way,
Anyways,
I was referencing the base hit because that's more positive than the out.
good.
Unless you're the fielding team, then it's a positive. So I guess either way it works out. Um, Anywho, yeah. So this series follows a character named Zed, but like we don't actually see Zed until later on in this issue,
Yeah, a little
and
bit later.
we're mostly following this girl. What is it?
Oh, don't throw
Hmm,
me in. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Rose?
I'm terrible with names and remember them in comics. But
Yeah,
are you
Rose. It's
Rose?
Rose.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Uh,
yeah. So Rose is like this kind of, I guess, would be this young prodigy, very intelligent.
yeah.
Seems to be a
A lot
creative
of
sort.
people are looking for her.
Yeah, and she's part of this, I guess, gang collaboration thing. So
Yeah.
this is. I feel like we need to say this. This comic seems to be set in like almost post apocalypse. Does that make sense? Like it seems
Yeah.
like the apocalypse is kind of come and gone, and then now they're kind of rebuilding society because you can, from a lot of the context of the story, and this is another type of like story writing that I really enjoy, is from like the way that they're speaking. They're not explaining the situation, but you can understand the situation because of it. So there's a scene
Hmm.
in this where like they talk about, there's less of these certain type of monsters. We ran into one and we thought it would be a problem and it wasn't, or something like that. And showing that's like, so these things used to be a really big problem. They're becoming less of a problem. There's trade routes going across, territories and yada yada yada. It's
Yeah.
super interesting. I think a lot of people love to play with like the apocalypse, but the idea of like that early like rebuilding civilization is that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, and like you said, it's kind of like when I was explaining it to my wife, I'm like, it's kind of like almost in a sense like the show Last of Us right now, and I know it's a game before,
Hmm.
but just like kind of that setting of like it's 20 plus years post whatever happened to bring the world to this like apocalypse.
Hmm.
And like that scene where her and the boy that she's, kidnapped in her lair, they're picking through like just what's left over because like malls have already been like clean picked and or picked clean,
Clean
um
picked.
clean picked, um and like and she's just trying to find like some medical remedy, and they
Hmm.
find like just the empty box of it, and like that's the world they live in. It's like, oh yeah, like, oh, we found one, oh, the box is empty. So
Yeah.
it's just like it's everything's already been cleaned out,
Right.
and they still just have to scrounge for what they need in order to survive. And so things like food are hard to come by, especially when you're out on your own and you're in hiding.
Yeah.
So there is two stories going on. And then Zed doesn't, again, like I said, like she doesn't show up until like the ends, but we get some badassery out of her.
We do,
Uh
and I really enjoyed that. She fought some sort of I don't know, a guard or something like that. And I guess she was going back to her old clan, and it was she had to fight the person who was the guard to get in. And
yeah.
I thought all of that was really cool. I love the design of the guard. I like
Yeah.
the person who's leading it. It was like this,
Ma.
Ma is this just obese woman who has like spider legs. She's like there's that guy on X-Men who's
But there's
like
also, I was thinking of like Darth Maul when he gets reintroduced into Clone
yeah.
Wars.
Yeah, I try to make like a
But yeah,
I
there's
would
also
imagine is like
there's a guy from X-Men too who's like similar.
yeah,
Um, I
I
can't.
want to say like Mojo or something like that. I'll look him up.
We'll go with that. Mojo sounds great.
I think it is Mojo.
Mojo from
Um,
X-Men.
I'm gonna Google that and see what happens. It is it's Mojo. Wow. Yeah, it looks very similar to Mojo. For those
Yeah,
of you who don't know Mojo, that's Mojo in
yeah.
my dirty phone screen.
But yeah, the other thing I want to say too is just like one thing I appreciate that Scout Comics is really good at is pairing up a good artist with a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really like the art in Darkland. Again, that's we haven't even said it, but it's written by Nicholas Black, and the art is done by Serge Acuna or Serge Acuna. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure how to say his name. But yeah, like the lines in this are just very well like defined. It's very clean.
I can show
The
some art.
backgrounds kind of stand out as backgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kudos to those guys. I don't have the letter or the colors names right
Oh,
in
I
front of
do.
me.
I Hectu Osharo and Bernardo Bryce. So
Bernardo Bryce. Yeah.
good on you guys. Keep up the good work. I'm definitely gonna be keeping on it. So yeah, buddy. I feel like I have more comics to talk about than you do for this past week. So do you mind if I go ahead and dive
Yeah, go
into
for it.
man, the one that I'm about to get into is one that yeah, I've just been going nuts over for the longest time. Can you guess what it is?
No.
Well, I believed in you. It's Behold Behemoth #3, man.
All
So
right.
I read this last Thursday, a day after we recorded, and I just continue to love this story so much. I went back and bought issues 1 and 2 digitally because the art in this is so good. I'm like, I bet
The
this
art
looks
does look amazing in it.
dude, it's so good. I'm like, I have to get this in digital because I bet like just again for those of you who are watching, like seeing something like this digitally just looks like it's so good. Not that it doesn't look good like on the page because it definitely does, but digitally it's just a whole nother experience. And what was really nice was I felt like this issue was the one that really kind of opened my eyes to see what the premise of this is. Um, so the premise is, oh man, I don't even remember the people's names, so you're gonna have to forgive me for that. But let's see if I can find them real quick. I doubt I'm going to be able to. Oh boy, I'm
Are you
feeling.
talking about the characters?
Yeah.
Gray
Um,
and Ren?
oh wow, how'd you find this?
I'm looking on our secret source, and
Nice.
their
So
names
yeah,
are in the little
So
blurb.
Grayson is the main guy's name. I love how I'm like I love this comic so much, and then I like completely forgot. Like, uh, I'm
For
just
how for
like
how many comics I think we both read, I think it's forgivable that we can't remember every character's name.
yeah, and it's like and it's so very little. It's not very important to the story, like ever.
Yeah.
You know, unless like a comic becomes really good and you like really love that character. Anyways, this could be this for me. So
Yeah.
Grayson and Ren. So Grayson is um like a child service agent. I can never remember what that word is. It's like someone that goes to the house and checks on foster kids. What is that word?
A, a
Yeah,
social
see,
service.
yes, that's it, like a social servants agent or something like that,
Yeah.
whatever it would be. You know what I'm implying. He goes and checks
Yeah.
on kids in foster cares. And so I'm kind of explaining issues 1 through 3 here.
Okay.
Not a
Not
whole lot.
just not just 3, but 1 through
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
So um in issue 1, we see that Grayson has like a kind of really rough childhood, but he has a brother who's like he's brave and like kind of like Grayson's inspiration. And then we kind of smash cut to the future and we're at his brother's funeral.
Mm.
Um and uh yeah, so we learned that his brother was a cop, and he kind of had like a over the years he had fallen apart with his brother, and there doesn't really give a reason as to why, but he does know his brother's partner and was talking to her at the funeral. So Grayson is he goes back to work, and then he goes to check out this one foster house, and there's a girl there with a black eye, and
Huh.
so he starts to investigate, and he talks to her, and that's Ren. And when they touch, they have some sort of like connection, and yeah, and they like just there's a really interesting page that just shows their connection. But later on, the father goes to beat the girl again, and she turns into like, we don't see it, but she turns into this giant monster and destroys the house and like kills everybody in there. So
Hmm.
he shows up to save her because she's hiding, and he's the only one that like she'll come out to. So they come out, and then remember I've talked about how this comic jumps around a lot, like from the future to the past to like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot in the future of those two walking around together, and kind of it's she doesn't really, I can't remember when she fully turns into a monster, but anyways, we find out that she has the ability to like turn into this giant behemoth,
Hmm.
and that there's something is happening, and that it's happening throughout the world, that two people meet, and one is like I forget what they call it, one is the behemoth or something like that, and the other one is a
Behold.
no, is the the other one is the shepherd, as like the person that'll guide the behemoth to whatever it does. So like there's weird cults that worship these things and think that they're here to like cleanse the earth and like bring destruction. And she's like a little girl, so she like is living this world, and she's like out playing in a field, and she finds like a little mouse, and she's playing with it, and a bird comes and takes it away, and she gets angry, and so she turns into this giant monster, and so she has to like calm her down. And this is like just the reality of this little girl, that she lives with this giant monster inside of her. And so it's just been a
Hmm.
fantastic story. It's The art is phenomenal. It is, you gotta read it. I mean, I know you will, but
I
if
will.
you're
This
listening,
is this is a trade paperback for me.
mm, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be getting a trade paperback regardless. So yeah, Behold Behemoth. It's such a great story. I'm very excited to see where it all goes.
Do you know how many issues it is?
No, but I don't care.
I don't care. I'm gonna read them all.
I'm gonna read every single one of them,
Doesn't matter.
and I'm gonna buy it digitally, and then I'm gonna buy the trade paperback, and then I'm
All
gonna buy
right.
a hoodie.
Right on. I know. I like. There's so much like merch of like
Mm-hmm.
comics I really like. I'm like for example, like it'd be really cool to have one of the scarves from like the House of Slaughter stuff from
Yeah.
something's killing the children. Like it'd be really cool to have one of those, but I just can never like. Yeah, I'm gonna buy one.
Well, hey
um,
man, what did you get into this week that you want to chit chatty about?
I'm gonna work backwards, but most recently, so when I went to my shop last week, the DC shipment hadn't arrived yet, and something I'm pulling right now through DC is Gotham City Year One, and so issue 5 came out, and I believe it's 6 issues in total, and I really appreciate a 6 issue series that has a fifth issue that just gives you so many answers before you
Mm-hmm.
get to the actual conclusion. And just so much got like revealed in this issue about like what's really going on, like who these characters are and like what they've been hiding the whole time. Like we got the like in issue 1, slams so yeah, slams a PI, and then he has like this guy that works for him. I think maybe Joey. Um yeah, we'll go with Joey.
Yeah.
Anyways, like after this girl shows up to his office and ropes him into what the whole story unfolds to be, he sends Joey to follow her, and then by the end of issue 1, Joey's dead.
Oh,
And so there's like this whole kind of like mystery as to well who killed Joey.
who
And so like
killed Joey?
that's just something that's kind of just been sitting in the background of the story and hasn't been brought up a whole lot. But
Mm,
like we went back to that story and what actually happened in issue 5. We learned about what happened with like the Wayne's daughter who was kidnapped that really set off this whole story. Like I
right.
believe issue 1, page 1 opens up with like the news article about the Wayne girl has been taken or has been kidnapped. And So just a lot happened in this issue that was just like really exciting, and it's like, wow, it's really cool to see that. But now issue 6 is just going to be this big finale that I'm very much looking forward to, and I've really enjoyed this series just because it is giving you just a background of Gotham when it was kind of ending its golden era and going
Mm,
into this dark era that we know Gotham to be through Batman. And also like the whole time too, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but like it's being narrated by Slam as an old man and he's talking to Batman.
yeah, I don't know if you have heard you mention it or our good buddies over at the Lair mention it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
was aware of that. That was the way that the story was being told.
Yeah, and so it's just it and like that's also cool too because it is kind of like a pulp noir like story in a way, like
Mm,
kind of paying back tribute to the old classic PI detective stories that comics really started out being. Just because like if you watch an old pulp noir film, you always have like that inner voice of the PI telling the
yeah.
story, and you're always wondering who he's talking to. And like just in this case, we do know that he's talking to Batman because it's like revealed that a few times,
Mm.
or he might actually be talking to Bruce.
Oh,
I can't off the top of my head, I can't remember, but
two sides of the same penny, giant
yeah,
penny in the Bat Lair.
yes. um, But yeah, so I'm really enjoying that. And again, that's written by Tom King, who's kind of like a legend with the Batman stories. So
Right. Yeah. Nice, man. I'm glad that that sounds like it's been good. I was gonna say maybe that's something I'll get trade paperback. It's definitely not, but it seems like a very interesting story. I need to get DC Unlimited because there are like a lot of cool characters and stories there that like I I'd have no again with same as Marvel. I have no qualms. I just need to find the stuff that I really enjoy. But
yeah, and I'd rather pay for it by paying either a monthly or annual subscription to the app. I know that like they put out a lot of issues that collectors want, and like I'd like to build that repertoire as well. But at the same time, like I want to read, and so I'm putting all my money towards what I want to read.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it would be worth checking out if you ever got the app for it. So, and I think we also learned from our pals at the Lair too, from Kyle, that like if you pay for like the big membership, you get it like not much longer after the
yeah, like a
print
month, I think, something like that.
rather than
It's
3 months.
3 months for
Yeah.
like a regular membership, and then 1 month for like a deluxe or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But yeah, so you mind if I get into one that I'm really
Get
stoked
on it.
about? So man, I put in an order to our one of our beloved comics that we've kind of our comic book publishers that we talked about earlier, Scout Comics. I got the Space Cadet from our buddy Jonathan, who was on last week, and I picked this up as well. Gut Ghost.
Gut
Um,
Ghost.
and Gut
I,
Ghost
I was
is
curious about this when you posted about it.
I'm still curious about this. This is by Enzo Garza. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Dude, the art in this is just phenomenal. This is the exact
Mm.
page I wanted to show you when I was going through. So that's Gut Ghost. I feel like I don't really understand like what this is because there's even a point in this comic where they reference another comic. So it's like,
Oh.
okay, so this isn't his first thing, but this Gut Ghost guy is kind of like just walking around town. The first interaction here is that he's talking to like the sheet that's blowing in the wind, and the sheet doesn't believe in himself. And so he's like, the Gut Ghost is like, you can do it, whatever it is, like just believe in yourself. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go commit a bunch of murders. And then Ghost Gut is like, wait, what? So that was just a really funny way. And then like right away, he runs into a guy that like worships him, like it's part of a cult, and he's
Oh.
just like, it feels like he's just like, oh, I don't want to see one of these people. He's just like walking around doing whatever it is that he does, and he's just like, I don't feel like running into one of my worshipers today or whatever. But it's really trippy because like, yeah, like something like this will just happen where like the guy will just pull his face inside out, and
Hmm.
then like we go into a different world. So like I'm just showing you the whole comic, and I shouldn't be doing that for free, but like it's kind of like that through the whole thing. And he eventually meets up with this other ghoul whose name is his real name is let me see it. It's Peter Zagul, and he's like a pizza based ghoul, and then later they're like, oh, I'm pizza ghoul. So so it's just like a super weird, like trippy story, but I am just like, I'm all about it. The Enzo, they have a Substack or something like that, where they also just have like comics where it's like him and other people for like $1. So I'm like, I'm gonna just throw him $1 and just have like a fun little comic. Like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do that. So Gut Ghost. That's
Gut
that's
Ghost.
that's that,
So
man. I'm stoked about it.
that was issue 1, and when did it release?
I couldn't tell you. I think this is a second printing.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's been out for a
It's been out for
while.
a while.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you when or if there's gonna be another one or anything. I'm going into this like I'll get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna report back on Gut Ghost. I'll do a
Let's
Gut Ghost check next week.
Looking forward to it.
All right,
Looking
buddy.
forward to it. Yeah, so next up that I got is Bones of the Gods #2, also from our friends over at Scout Comics. That
Look at
came
that.
out. Yeah, seems like we got a lot of Scout today.
Wow.
But yeah, so Bones of the Gods is essentially just this story. Like issue 1 is like a father-daughter story, but the dad dies at the end of it. And the story is
Whoa.
kind of surrounding that there was once this battle that happened between two opposing parties that worship two different gods. And finally, during one of their like epic battles, the gods actually showed up and fought each other, but they couldn't overcome each other, so they ended up killing each other.
Oh.
And their bones kind of like spread throughout the land, and like the legend had it that like if you found one of their bones and touched it, like you would get powers. And so like this was just this whole legend, and like that's kind of what is revealed in issue 1. And then at the end of issue 1, the main character, who's again, sorry, the name's escaping me, uh she she's plowing their field on their farm, and she digs up one of the bones and touches it, and it like goes inside her. But as soon as like that happens, this like weird sorcerer looking dude who has like a staff, and like the bone that he found is like in an orb on top of the staff, and he's just all powerful and has like a group of followers with him. They're the ones who end up killing the dad. So this issue is just the aftermath of like, obviously she's going to like run away from the farm because there's bad people there, and she goes and finds her friends, and just like, I don't know what's happening. And it's kind of her gathering all the information of what happened in issue 1 and trying to explain it to her friends in a way that she just hasn't really processed on her own.
Hmm.
But she does end up learning, like, because she touched the bone, she now has these powers. And it actually does open up with her kind of like fighting this sorcerer guy, and he's bewildered as to why she defeated him.
You've defeated me.
Yeah, so like I'm really enjoying the story. The art isn't bad, but it's also just very, it's kind of like, Leonardo's blue and Raphael's red. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of plays with that trope of like using colors for who's on what side
Yeah.
of and so like, and I don't hate that, because
No.
it does help, like, you being able to separate who's who. um but yeah, like I'm enjoying it so far. I'm going to keep going with it. I don't know how many issues it is. It's probably 5. But we'll see.
Yeah. Nice. That sounds like an enjoyable little read there.
Yeah.
All right, I got like one more that I kind of, well, I don't, we'll see how time's going, but yeah, man, I picked this up. Just I was kind of on the fence about it, and then I think I saw that our buddy Ray picked it up, or I think I can't remember why, but I think I did see somebody else got this, and I was like, again, like it looks serious and kind of spooky. I have to be drawn to it, and I definitely was. Like, I am a big fan of this. Like, these colors are fantastic.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
it's very reminiscent of like Cartoon Network kind of like art and
Yeah.
like style. It's yeah,
It,
I'm
it
a
it
huge fan of
reminds
it.
me of like Johnny Quest,
Yeah,
like, and then more modernly, like, when Johnny Quest got older and they made that show Venture Brothers.
good old Venture Brothers.
I love the Venture Brothers.
Just real quick, say this is by Justin Jordan and Marham Revel, and Yeah, it's the title is Harrower.
Sure.
I have a hard time saying it, but that is the Harrower.
I might say how I don't know.
Harrower.
How Harrower?
I'm
Howard.
struggling. That's him. And so he's kind of this just town mythological creature. He's very similar to like a Jason kind of thing. It's just
Oh,
this
okay.
like um thing that just kills, and it's it's set in a high school and there's teens and stuff like that. Um yeah, and the story opens with a policeman coming home, and his house has been broken into, and so he's like aware of what's happening to him, and he's trying to fight it. And there's clearly like stuff happening, and then we jump to this school setting, and just kind of these kids talking about like this party that's coming up, and like yada yada yada. And one of the kids is like super serious, and they don't know why, and it's because he's aware of all this stuff, and it was actually his dad earlier who, I think it was either his dad or somebody in the house, was murdered by the Harrower. But yeah, the art is just phenomenal, and yeah, you just see some of the teens get picked off. Like they're not holding back on the main characters. There's only like 6 in the kind of like main circle, something like that. 6, 5, I can't remember, but yeah, one of them's gone already. So
Hmm.
and it's from Boom. Boom,
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 boom, boom,
boom,
boom,
boom, boom.
boom, boom, boom,
Keep
boom.
going.
Uh,
Boom.
and I was trying to say boom backwards is mob.
I think it'd be
Moob.
moob. Yeah.
Dang, wish moob could be our catchphrase. But
Maybe
yeah, man,
next year.
maybe next year. Yeah, that was just a super enjoyable tale, and just a good read. So very happy I jumped in on that.
Right on.
Do you want to do any more?
Yeah. So I kind of this is the last couple things I want to talk about.
Sure.
One thing everybody knows I'm already reading is Bloodstained Teeth. I really enjoyed this issue because it was kind of similar to how Gotham City Year One issue 5 worked out, and that there's a lot of kind of a bit of revelation to the story of what's
Mm,
going on. We even got a little sneak peek into the main character's past, like just like a few, like not many, but like a few panels went back into his past and kind of gave you this glimpse of, uh, where he came from, but kind of left it there. So it brought a new question to the story that I hope gets answered. I don't know why else they would put that in there. But again, it's
good
just
point.
like the art with Bloodstained Teeth is just fantastic, and I really enjoy it. It just has callbacks to so many, like the of Jack Kirby, just with like the
Mm,
colors and being bright, and then just the old Noirs as well, with it just a really good shading.
yeah.
Um, and so it's like I could flip through those pages just to look at the artwork all day. Um, but a couple other things is I did, I've been catching up on a few things, and something I've had on the shelf for a while to catch up on is Gideon Falls.
Mm,
I finished the first book like a while ago, I think almost a year ago. And I just was waiting for book 2 to come out, but then when it released, which like book 2 collects, I think volumes 4, 5, and 6. When it released, I was just like, I just don't really want to spend the money on it right now. And then
yeah.
I found it at my library, so I was like, sweet. So, but I still have to read volume, or sorry, it has volumes 3 and 4 and 5 in it, and I still need to read the last one. But again, just another shout out to Jeff Lemire. Probably the first time I said his name correctly on this show. And yes, clap, clap, clap. But yeah, just the story is just so excellent. And the way that he plays with all the characters. And now we have like, the first book kind of allowed you to explore and get to know these characters. And then book 2, which I think picks up with issue 14, maybe, or 13. um and yeah, you start getting into like what they have to do to like accomplish beating this bad guy that has a big smile on his face, and he's spooky and comes with this like barn that was a
It
huge
comes
like
with the
building.
barn.
Yeah, well, there's a whole story. You need to read it if you haven't read it.
That's fair. That's fair.
And it's so old too that I guess I can reveal quite a bit. But yeah, so essentially it starts off with Norton, who's picking through the trash. Like this is back in book 1, issue 1, and he has to go to see a psychiatrist because clearly, if he's digging through the trash looking for specific things, which is like chunks of wood and nails, like you have something going on, and so the state makes you go to therapy.
Sure.
And this whole time he's always just talking about this barn. He doesn't remember where he came from. Like he doesn't know anything about his childhood. He because this eventually find out that he got transported from one Gideon Falls to another Gideon Falls. And so Gideon Falls is all at the center of this battle of good and evil, and there's like multiple versions of Gideon Falls.
That's pretty
And
cool.
it's just such a well developed like world upon worlds. And each one is just so different from the other and has its own like niche as to like what style of city it is, like what era it's in. It's just a really good read. So I'm excited to finish it. Got to get my hands. So like the last volume is actually just one issue. It's issue 27, but I guess it was like a very long issue. I think
Okay.
probably around like 60 to 80 pages.
Yeah. I like that though. That's cool.
So, but yeah, so I'm right at the end before the end, and I'm really excited to get into it. And then another thing I started to catch up on that I was inspired by reading Art Brut is Ice Cream Man. I
Nice.
picked
Which
up.
number 3 came out of today, by the way. I'm just gonna stick digitally with that.
Yeah, I'll probably stick digitally there as well. But yeah, Ice Cream Man is great. Like I've only gotten through volume 1 of it, but it's just like there's this Ice Cream Man, and there's something about him that you don't really know about in the beginning, but he somehow affects the people he gives ice cream to. And there's just a lot of like mystery and horror tied to it as well. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I can't wait to dive into the following volumes because they had all, I think, the first 5 at my library, so I checked those all out. So I'm gonna probably burn through those over the next week.
Nice. That's great that you're utilizing the library, man. Well done.
Yeah.
So I got a couple, just 2 more that I want to shout out. This is Usher of the Dead. It's a one shot, and it's from Blood Moon. We've talked about Blood Moon before, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember what comic.
Blood Moon is Cover the Dead with Lime.
Okay, right. There we go.
Yeah.
So it's by Jamie Engel, and Cool as Heck is the name of the illustrator, which is cool as heck as far as I'm concerned. And it's all in black and white. That page has some nudity on it, so I'm not going to show that one. But yeah. So it's set in Tokyo.
Okay.
And obviously there's a dark-haired woman, a blonde-haired woman. And the dark-haired woman lives upstairs from the blonde woman, and the blonde woman heard like some banging and stuff going on, and so she goes out on her balcony and starts like yelling up to her, and she eventually goes up to be revealed that the woman has killed her husband. And so when the girls meet and start talking, this guy shows up in the background here. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's the usherer of the dead. He's like a Japanese god. He's hiding back there in the background, who like is the person. He's the Grim Reaper essentially. And it's a really fascinating story between these 2 women. The blonde girl. Well, I guess actually I'm just realizing on the cover she has red hair. But yeah. So and the Japanese woman, she kills her husband, who's an American man, and yeah, and the woman tries to console her. The redheaded woman consoles her, and it's like, it's okay, he got what was coming to him, and they can both see the god of death, but neither of them are talking about it to each other. And
interesting.
yeah, and so when they leave each other, the Japanese woman says to it, it's just like, I was praying for you to come, but I didn't expect you to come for him. I thought you were going to come for me. And the red-haired woman, she asks, why can I see you? And he says, it's because you brought upon this man's death. And so it turns out that that guy's husband was cheating on the Japanese woman with the redheaded American woman. And yeah, so it's a super clever, like, I mean, that was kind of a spoiler alert, but like it's a one shot, super good. It's super worth reading. Yeah, that was great. And then the last thing I just want to say is Know Your Station continues to be phenomenal. So
that came out last week,
week,
right? Number 3.
right?
Yeah. So I had ordered issues 1 and 2, and I really enjoyed them. So thank you. I think I said I was going to wait for the trade on that one, but everybody was just talking about it so much. I was like, I want to be in on the chat.
Wait, hold on. Go back. I'm sorry. I kind of zoned out a minute. I'm just going to be honest. Did you say you got it? You read it?
I haven't gotten number 3 yet.
But you read number 1 and number 2?
I've read 1 and 2.
And you're in on it?
I'm in on it.
Just repeat everything you just said, because I just remembered I did have another comic. It was just Blood Tree. It's good. These detective are investigating people that like have angel wings. Anyways, so you're enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Great. It's woohoo.
That's all we need to know.
That is all we need to know.
But yeah, so I guess we should probably wrap this thing up. But
let's wrap it up and land a bird with it.
But yeah, so it's good grief.
I feel like we say like the most that wasn't supposed to be inappropriate. I just bring us home, Mark.
All right. Well, if you want to find us anywhere else, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. For the most part, I think all of them are at Pull Box Pals. You can find me at Mad Nerdy on Instagram. That's mad_nerdy. And you can find Monk over here at that Monk guy. We really enjoy talking comics with each other, but we also really enjoy talking comics with other people. So please reach out to us if you want to chat anything, if you want to recommend anything, we're all for it. And yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe. It'd really help us out. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast, leave us a review. That'd also be great.
Yeah, we haven't gotten many reviews. Give us a nice 5-star review. Go ahead, make my day. Well, now I got to use that same voice to say, you ain't read up. Wait, that's not right. I haven't read comics like these.
Take over the top.
Bye.